up in the wake of the flooding in Malaysia, Tzu Chi begins school cleanup for Kelantan. We meet college student Yang Kaiting, who walked out of the shadow of despair thanks to Master Cheng Yen's teachings. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. We start today's program in Malaysia. Tzu Chi volunteers' efforts in helping residents affected by the recent flooding continue. To speed up recovery efforts, Tzu Chi volunteers launched cash for work programs in 3 different areas in Kelantan. But first, we go to Pahang to check on the volunteers' cleanup efforts in Kuala Kraal.
Although the floodwaters have finally subsided, the streets in Kuala Kraal, Pahang have been left covered in mud and debris. To help, the Tzu Chi Foundation has established a 3-day cash over program in the area. On the second date at the program, 150 participants gathered to give this alley a thorough cleaning.
There are 2 seniors living in this home, and their 6 children are living out of town. Following the flood, they didn't know where or how to start cleaning up. We decided to lend a helping hand.
Among those affected by the disaster was Wu Shuzhi, who lives in a 40-year-old home made out of wooden planks. Wu says the flood destroyed many valuables, including his children's honor roll certificates and trophies.
I live in a 2-story building, and my neighbor lives in a 4-story building. My neighbor's home is made out of corrugated iron sheets, which cannot withstand strong wind. Some of the corrugated iron sheets were blown off by the wind and destroyed my home.
I feel extremely sad for this family. They lost clothing, furniture, and dishes because of the disaster.
Besides cleaning up mud and debris, cash work program participants and volunteers make sure to scavenge for usable items that can be returned to homeowners.
We are devastated by the recent flood, but people are here to give us a hand. We should be thankful for all the help we have received from others.
To assist flood survivors in Kota Bharu, Kelantan, a group of Tzu Chi volunteers from Penang set out early in the morning to begin their mission. As many roads are currently blocked due to the flooding, the volunteers have no choice but to travel longer distances to their destination. After 16 hours of driving, the volunteers finally arrived in Kelantan.
While on the bus, we discussed the possible ways to work with Cash for Work program participants. We also talked about splitting into teams to carry out the program. We will have a team on standby that will help out when and wherever needed.
Regardless of the obstacles they faced along the way, Tzu Chi volunteers in Malaysia have united towards a common goal to help flood survivors return their lives to normal as soon as possible.
Schools in the states of Kelantan, Malaysia, are scheduled to resume classes on the 11th of this month. To ensure campuses can reopen in time in the aftermath of the recent flooding, the Ministry of Education of Kelantan sought help from Tzu Chi to clean up 7 of the worst-hit schools in the state. At the first school, the school principal only needed 50 people to help, but in the end, 70 showed up to speed up the effort. On this day, the sun has finally come out in Kelantan, and 70 community members are gathered at a local school in Kota Bharu to participate in a Tzu Chi Cash for Work cleanup program. With no running water available, participants used leftover water from the flood to scrub clean the muddy desks and chairs. The schools in Kelantan State resumed classes on January 11th. Thus, residents from near and far, old and young, have all come to help, including the 78-year-old senior.
All my grandchildren go to school here, so it's hard to see the school damaged like this. There are many people here today to help, so I hope the school can quickly recover from this. We should be fine, as other areas are much worse off than this.
Residents rush to clean up in hopes the campus can reopen in time for school.
If everything goes smoothly, then the desks and chairs will be cleaned in time for the first day of school. I really want to thank everyone for their efforts. Thank you, Tzu Chi, all the volunteers, and everyone else for helping.
To ensure the students' education is not delayed due to the flooding, volunteers and casual work participants will continue to tidy up the campus in the days ahead. Last December, during Indonesia's monsoon season, West Java's Bandung suffered severe flooding and caused damage to 36,000 homes and the evacuation of 5,300 residents. In offering their assistance, Tzu Chi volunteers in Bandung, the local government, and the Indonesian military worked together to offer relief supplies for those in need. Together, they helped a total of 358 families, giving them the necessary supplies to get through the days ahead and recover from the horrible situation. Last month, heavy monsoon rains in Indonesia caused flooding in Bandung, forcing 5,300 residents to flee. A major factor in the flooding is that the Citarum River, the longest and largest river in West Java, overflowed and flooded the low-lying areas. The flood has also brought more debris into the already polluted Citarum River. With the assistance of the Indonesian military, Tzu Chi volunteers brought relief supplies to the flood survivors in various emergency shelters.
There are still some hard-hit areas that are flooded, that we cannot reach by car. Currently, we're targeting our efforts on daily necessities that the local shelters need.
Flood survivors also lend a hand to help move relief supplies to speed up their distribution. After one distribution is complete, volunteers hurry to the next shelter. Despite being packed like sardines at the shelter, the survivors remain upbeat. The house smells moldy. Except for the TV, the rest of the furniture was submerged underwater. Working as a team, the Bandung government, Indonesian military, and Tzu Chi volunteers are giving their love and care to help flood victims through this difficult time. Following the fatal crash of AirAsia flight QZ8501, Tzu Chi volunteers in Indonesia's Surabaya have continued to offer family members of the crash victims emotional support, helping them come to terms with the loss of their loved ones. At the altar of Tameji Tajukusuma, a victim of the tragic AirAsia flight QZ8501 plane crash, family members are torn apart by grief as they grapple with the loss of someone who they loved so dear.
My aunt was very beautiful and very wise. She was a very spirited person as well.
Steffi, Tajukusuma's 10-year-old daughter, was also on board the flight with her mother.
Steffi orangnya di sekolah tuh pintar. Dia juga baik.
Steffi was very bright, and she always enjoyed helping other classmates. At school, she was always so full of cheer when she was with her friends. Family and friends, as well as Tzu Chi volunteers, were present to pay their last respects to the mother-daughter pair. The volunteers' presence has also given Tajukusuma's family members an outlet for their emotions. We were overwhelmed by grief and sadness, but our hearts have found some peace because of you, Tzu Chi volunteers. Always present whenever and wherever needed, Tzu Chi volunteers will continue to be the family's pillar of support and strength during such trying times. Tzu Chi's new dialysis center in Malaysia's Penang was finished at the end of last year. In total, the new center has 108 beds, and its mixture of care and humanitarianism recently won praise from the Chief Minister of Penang State, who paid the center a personal visit in the beginning of January.
With the new Tzu Chi Dialysis Center in Penang finished, Chief Minister of the State of Penang, Lin Guanyin, comes for a tour.
The patients have themselves become volunteers. There we have those undergoing volunteer training. All of them are dialysis patients.
In 1997, the Malaysian Tzu Chi chapter established the country's first dialysis center for those who would be unable to afford dialysis treatments otherwise. As the number of those needing dialysis has continued to increase, Tzu Chi has decided to build a 6th-floor, 108-bed clinic, which was finished recently.
Sometimes when we can't talk to our family, they listen to us, they advise us. I'm very happy to say I'm living in Tzu Chi. It's the happiest time.
It's like coming to a spa. It is very clean and makes us feel clean inside. Those coming here can forget why they came here. This is all thanks to Tzu Chi.
During his personal tour, Mr. Lin experiences firsthand the love and dedication that Tzu Chi and its volunteers are bringing here to Malaysia. In Taiwan, the reform of agricultural industry is being spearheaded by young farmers who are more willing to adopt new farming techniques that yield better products and are more environmentally friendly. One of the major changes is the implementation of a food traceability system, where information pertinent to how the food is produced is made available online with a simple scan of a QR code. This also gives locally grown foods an edge over imports, as not all imports feature such information. At this farm in Jianghua, Taiwan, farmers are feasting on the fruits of their labor.
Quite a variety of vegetables are grown locally, so we are usually self-sufficient when it comes to food.
As all ingredients are grown locally and just harvested, the dishes smell extra delicious.
All of our produce have their own resume, such as this tomato. You can cook it together with tofu or egg and make delicious dishes.
Only 31 years old, Wang Jianjun is very proud of his farm's traceability system, which was what prompted him to come home to be a farmer. In Wang's grape farm, the grapes can be eaten directly because he uses mulching to control weeds instead of herbicide.
This also helps the soil retain moisture and is harmless as no herbicide is used. On the other hand, more manpower has to be invested.
Embracing new farming techniques and fully disclosing all information pertinent to his crops, Wang even allows his customers to come inspect his farm at any time.
As we adhere to many of the EU standards, most of the farmers here have trouble meeting those demands. If local farmers are willing to adhere to the new SOP, then we are willing to buy from them, and even though the quality of the product may not be perfect.
Having gained direct access to retailers, Wang's grapes do not have to go through a distributor, but are sent directly to the dispatch center of his customer.
These pallets came from Xihu, Zhanghua this morning. On them are our own traceable grapes. Those harvested the day before can arrive at our warehouse within 24 hours. So in Taiwan, we can really enjoy in-season grapes.
The sweetness recorded is 19.7 degrees, which is very high. Typically, fruit sweetness is around 12 degrees.
Local produce tend to be fresher compared to imports. Also, thanks to the traceability system, consumers can easily learn all there is to know about their selection by simply scanning the QR code on the packaging with their smartphones.
With the QR code, we can see exactly when a farmer performs trimming, applies fertilizer, and even waters the plants. Just scan the barcode with your smart device right in our shop, and you will know exactly what it is that you are eating today. About 20 to 30% of fruits at our stores feature this function and carry the metric barcode so customers can look up all the information they need.
Though grapes grown by Wang are double the price of other common grapes, after the recent food scandals, consumers do want to make sure that they are eating safe.
Traceability is very important in my opinion. I think it is the basic construct of establishing food safety.
Though import foods may be cheaper than local foods, not all of them are traceable. If Taiwan's government and farmers can implement traceability on all foods, this will certainly boost consumer confidence and make local foods more competitive.
Currently in his 4th year of university, 21-year-old Yang Kaiting gets up at 3 every morning before going to the Tzu Chi Fengshan liaison office to watch Master Cheng Yen's Wisdom at Dawn broadcast. The programming has helped Kaiting deal with his emotional problems and open up to the world. Now, along with the older volunteers, Kaiting can be seen taking notes by hand, writing down thoughts and ideas to study and remember throughout the day. Among those here today listening to Master Cheng Yen's broadcast, Yang Kaiting is by far the youngest.
I suffer from depression and of course my heart was not content. I was unable to shake it off.
The 21-year-old senior in college once shut himself off from the world as a result of his emotional trials.
My doctor said that I have a problem trusting others. The master once discussed the 5 afflictions: greed, anger, ignorance, pride, and doubt. Doubt is the one that I struggle with. My doctor has worked hard to cure me in this area. And then I heard the master say that we need to trust others and not hold suspicions in our heart. Hearing such words during the Wisdom at Dawn broadcasts, I have slowly started to open up and learn to trust others.
Listening to the Dharma and taking notes by hand, how do these things work in Kaiting's digitized world?
When I first started coming, I didn't take notes. But I saw that everyone around me was taking notes, and I felt weird that I was the only one that wasn't. So now, when someone asks me something, I can show them the answer from my notes.
In the beginning, Kaiting filled his notebooks with his moods at the time. However, slowly, his notes began to focus more on the Dharma itself. He also uses the social network via his phone to help fill in the areas he missed.
Using Line, I can see the notes of those at the Joru recycling station. On a regular basis, people will post what the master discussed that day.
After listening to the master's lecture, the finance major then takes the opportunity to head over to the local recycling station to put in some hours, making the start of his day very different from the average college student. Like at the Fengshan Tzu Chi liaison office in the morning, Yang Kaiting is the youngest volunteer here. However, he makes good use of his youthful energy and says recycling is more fun than hanging out with friends.
Hanging out with others, I was never happy. I was never able to get out of my head. After listening to the master's Dharma, I have learned that I need to do things with meaning and to offer my time on behalf of others. Only then will happiness come.
Thanks to his participation in the Wisdom at Dawn meetings and the recycling station, Kaiting's life is now filled with a rainbow of colors, and gone are the blues of the past. The weekly study session of the Jingsi Books and Cafe in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, which is on Wednesday, is joined by numerous Tzu Chi volunteers overseas via the internet. And recently, one of the club's online members showed up in person. He was no other than Chen秋华, the man responsible for starting Tzu Chi's missions in Jordan. At the online study session hosted by the Jingsi Books and Cafe in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, participants are extra excited today as one of their club's members has appeared in person. As Jordan is some 8,000 kilometers away from Taiwan, Chen秋-hua is the club's most distant member, but he always tries hard to be online whenever there is a study session.
One time, he just couldn't establish a connection no matter what, but he kept on trying for more than an hour before he finally said, perhaps the timing just isn't right today.
The time difference is the major obstacle, but what's important is the sincerity to participate.
It is because of his dedication to Tzu Chi that Chen is able to carry out Master Cheng Yen's teachings in Jordan. No matter the obstacles, Chen is determined with dharma in his heart.
To me, this is a great opportunity to stay connected to my greater Dharma family and find emotional support. So I miss some sleep one time a week, but it is I who benefit in the end.
Currently, some 50 locations in 8 countries join the study session in Kaohsiung via the internet every week. Thanks to Chen's sharing, more are inspired to dedicate themselves to Tzu Chi. Next, we meet volunteer Pa Yong of Thailand, who has been raising his 3 children on his own since his divorce 8 years ago. Doing his best to provide for his children, the single father often put aside his own health problems. Thankfully, in 2010, a group of blue and white clad angels walked into their lives.
A home crowded with things and clothing is where Pa Yong and his 3 children call home. Despite having to juggle between work and family, Pa Yong makes sure his children are well taken care of.
It's not an easy task because I have to fulfill the role of both mom and dad. However, my children's smiles always reminded me that my dedication is well worth it.
Due to overwork, Pa Yong was unable to bring his health problems under control. Thankfully, in 2010, Tzu Chi volunteers walked into his life.
Master Cheng Yen has a compassionate heart. Tzu Chi volunteers provided my family and I with so much assistance and warmth. The volunteers treat us like their own family.
Since 2010, Pa Yong has been receiving financial support from the Tzu Chi Thailand chapter. Furthermore, the Buddhist NGO even fixed Pa Yong's rundown home. To reciprocate, Pa Yong decided to walk the Tzu Chi path.
Practicing recycling is very good because we can help people who are worse off than us.
By joining Tzu Chi's recycling efforts, Pa Yong's children also have the chance to receive free Chinese tutoring. Despite having no material wealth to pass on to his children, Pa Yong says the most precious thing he can give to them is the value of life.
Doing something meaningful to celebrate the new year, Tzu Chi volunteers in Taiwan helped an 82-year-old senior clean up her home. Prior to the cleanup event, volunteers saw the old conditions of her furniture and found some secondhand pieces in replacement. We will leave you with these images at the end of the show. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. See you next time.